Good morning, YouTube. There are a lot of automotive ripoffs out there. There's a lot of ripoffs of everything. Somebody copying it, making it better, making it worse. You know, I'm kind of a ripoff of Jeff Goldblum, I guess,
I
right?
thought you were going to say Doug.
Doug to...
No,
Wonderful.
but like he's like
Yeah.
the MySpace version, and then you like upped it to like you're the cool Instagram version,
You're
right?
like the ripoff of what, Melania Trump or something. Okay, fine. I don't know. Like what? I'm just...
Do you want to sleep alone tonight?
I'm sorry. I just wanted to
Melania?
like jab you back or something. I don't know.
Okay, fine. Fair enough. Am I in trouble?
No, you're fine. Okay. Sorry. I apologize. But Jalopnik has a new list
later.
out, reader-submitted ones, of ripoffs that are better than the original. I am not better than Jeff Goldblum or Doug DeMuro, but I know you're better than...
You need to just stop that line.
Okay.
You're just digging your own grave right now.
Anyway, so we talked about one in a recent video, how the Lincoln Navigator sort of inspired the Cadillac Escalade. They ripped it off and I think exceeded the Navigator by a lot.
Right, of course.
Personally. But there's a list of these, and some are good and some I don't think are very good at all. And I think they missed a few, but what they started with is probably the most glaring example of all time. The Mazda Miata versus the Lotus Elan, or pretty much every British sports car of the era.
Yeah.
A rip-off of the classic, small, cheap British sports car. Japanese, engineered, just way exceeding the original in every single way.
Well, they all look the same, and when things are successful, I think, it's a compliment to copy things, but, I don't mean to veer off subject, but that's why I appreciate the Cybertruck, because it's like completely different. There's nothing that it's trying to be. It's its own thing.
Nobody's been dumb enough to make a triangle pickup truck before.
Right.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, fair enough. Fair enough.
Okay. But if you look how close the Elan is to the Miata, it is so close. And then even, like, this is the Miata prototype concept. It was way closer to the Elan. Too close, probably, to where they kind of made it a little bit different.
Right. You need to kind of have your own place and your own style and your own look, and they're way too similar.
Here's one I completely forgot about, but the 70s Toyota Celica, like the original Celica, look at it compared to a 69 Mustang.
Where's the Celica?
You can't even tell the difference. Yeah.
No.
I know, that's the Celica.
Did they dress it up to look like a Mustang?
No.
That's how they came?
That's the taillights. That's I mean, obviously in person it's a much smaller car and looks different, but then the photos with the rear quarters, it's almost the damn same car.
Oh, was it the similar year?
Yeah, well, this came out in the 70s, and then of course the Mustang they changed in 69, 70.
What? How can they do that?
I know.
That's like a complete copy ripoff.
The Japanese are famous for this, and obviously the proportions are different. Everything's different enough, but it's so close to a Mustang, it's ridiculous.
What is going on?
Yeah.
There's like copyright infringement people freaking out, and they still came out with it?
Japanese, the original reverse engineers. There's more examples here later, but we go into the modern era next to talking about the Ford Bronco, the new one, copying the Jeep, which I don't think is fair because the Bronco is around as an off-roader in that sort of space, the four-door or whatever.
Right.
Not a four-door, but before the Jeep. So do you call it a copy or just like finally someone builds an alternative to the Jeep?
No.
Finally.
No. I don't think it's in competition with the Jeep.
Well, it's in competition, but I mean, it's not ripoff.
No, it doesn't. I mean, I think it's completely different. I don't look at it and say, oh, this is an off-road vehicle. It's built as an off-road. Like this, it's more luxurious. It's a little nicer to drive, and it's easier to drive and comfortable, and I would not compare it to the Jeep.
Well, okay. They're showing a picture of it with all of its doors and
that's not fair.
And all that stuff off, and just from the side, it looks a lot like a Jeep.
Right there it does.
So this one's cool, the Toyota Mega Cruiser.
That is so cool. Why isn't that a
the
thing
Hummer
anymore?
It is massive. Like the Hummer, it is ridiculously huge. Some have come into the United States now thanks to the 25-year rule, but basically Toyota built a Hummer knockoff that exceeded it in a lot of ways as far as the reliability, because the Hummers were saddled with the bad GM diesels and things. Until the last year where it got the Duramax, but yeah.
So we didn't get these in America?
No, well, now they're imported. But yeah, Toyota reliability meets Hummer massive proportions, so
I mean, can you imagine if one of those came up for sale, like at an auction or Bear Jack? You'd be like all over it.
They have popped up a few times and they do sell for big money.
They're so cool.
Yes. So then there is the BMW 3.0 CS, beautiful, iconic design. and they think it's a ripoff of the Corvair, which is silly.
No.
I don't see it at all, but one of the most famous ones has to be the Lexus LS400, where they reverse engineered the Mercedes 126, like the black Mercedes that you drove versus the Lincoln a few months ago. Lexus famously took that apart, figured out how to make it better, and then released the LS400 and completely shook up the automotive industry as far as luxury cars 30 years ago.
That's a famous car, which actually you just got the like Matchbox car of this, and it just, I was laughing all day because who thinks of that? But these are iconic cars.
Absolutely. They're built to be darn near invincible. I have a few little things like the starter underneath the intake and having to do timing belts versus the Mercedes that doesn't have any of that nonsense. But overall, really solid, really well built, and the price point lower than Mercedes. It stole a lot of sales from them, a lot of sales from BMW. It was one of those where, probably exceeded the original, and then Mercedes made the mistake of doing a redesign to the 140 chassis. Spent $1 billion developing it and made it very expensive, very complicated, and eventually had to dumb it down and make it cheaper in the 1995 facelift because they went too far, and the cheaper Lexuses were just munching up.
They were all over. They defined the generation there.
Same goes for the first Acura NSX.
They're so cool.
So if you think about it, like the Ferraris of the time, the 348, they had the side strakes that were definitely of that 80s look, continuing with the Testarossa. But Acura doing that mid-engine V6 6-speed,
so cool.
Basically making a Ferrari 348 or a 328, I guess would be more what it looked like or what they were reverse engineering, and knocked it out of the park.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I think they did a great job. And I don't know, I wouldn't call it a ripoff. They're just taking, this is a really cool car, let's kind of do something similar to it, but I wouldn't call it a ripoff.
Maybe, maybe not, yeah. One that I don't see is the Bentley versus a Lincoln Continental. Because once again, the Lincoln Continental looks like an older Lincoln Continental. So I don't really get that one personally. And there's plenty of other, I feel like the Koreans are doing a better job of ripping off Bentley, say with the new Genesis G90 like we drove than say Lincoln.
Right. Well, or when the Chrysler 300 came out.
Yeah.
That's kind of where I would compare Bentley to. And they shot it way out of the park with that one. That was all
People
over.
were putting Bentley grills on it to follow it out, the rims and things, because it did have Bentley looks, and then a Mercedes chassis, because that's when Chrysler and Mercedes were part of the same company. Yeah.
I don't remember the last time I did a double take of a new car that came out and was like, wow, that is really cool. They did a great job. That'd probably be the last time.
I agree. And the final one they have on the list, and I'm not sure if this qualifies, is the original 1968 Bullitt Mustang, and then the continuation, the ripoffs. They're not really ripoffs because they're still Ford Mustangs. It came since the Bullitt editions. They've done 3 generations now.
Right, like a tribute.
Yeah, they're tributes. I don't see that as a ripoff, not at all.
No, if it were a completely different car company, then it would be a ripoff, but I don't see this being
So
a
ripoff would be something that some of the ones that they missed on this. So like the PT Cruiser, and then the HHR. And I would say the HHR did beat the PT Cruiser in a lot of ways, as far as its practicality, as far as the performance with that SS version. I think they're built a little better too. I see more.
Well, they came out, like 5 years after the PT Cruiser?
Quite a bit after.
Yeah, so they had some time to think about it and develop it and look at it and be like, oh, the PT Cruiser's gross. Why would they make the HHR?
Well, the PT Cruiser was so popular before. And then right when they got the HHR out, that's when it started becoming sort of a joke and a punchline and people hating on them. And also, the PT Cruiser wasn't very well built. So you see a lot more PT Cruisers, I feel like, because they aren't the best built cars and they got in the hands of kids and owners who didn't care. I see a lot less of them, but it seems like the HHR can take abuse a lot better and keep going. So it's weird. I probably see more HHRs than I do PT Cruisers.
Yeah, it's a little bit better looking. The HHR is a little boxier and cooler, but still makes me want to throw up when I see them.
Right. And one other I can think of is the C8 Corvette. Famously reverse engineered the Ferrari 458 for the Z06, that flat plain crank, normally aspirated thing that was in the 458, went away in the 488 with the twin turbos, and now it's hybrids and everything else. But if you want that old school Ferrari roaring V8 experience, the C8 Corvette is basically a knockoff of it.
Because when I first saw it, I thought McLaren. I thought it looked similar to that kind of body style and just the swooping lines of it.
I do think that Chevy pulled off a knockoff of a Ferrari for way less, and it is better in a lot of ways. The Ferrari is more attractive, I think, but a Ferrari 458, a good one, is $200,000. So you can get a C8 Corvette for $50,000 used. A Z06 is still, $130,000 or so at the bottom if you can get one, but still, I think they did a great job. So.
Would you go with the E-Ray of the C8?
So that's a knockoff of the 488. So I don't know. I don't know. I would stick with the Z06 or the the basic C8 just personally, even though I am liking the electric cars more. But I think in the long term of ownership, people will look back and be like, man, that's the last of the breed when it comes to normally aspirated, no hybrid V8 things, and that might be the one to hold. But we're talking 20, 30 years, it really doesn't matter.
Right.
So.
But can I just say how lucky we are that we have so many options of so many cars to buy in America? Like, there's so many great American cars, and we've imported such great cars too. Like, if you're a car person, this is such a great country to be in.
We are spoiled for choice.
Right.
Although all the choices are getting more and more expensive and unaffordable, unfortunately.
They're so expensive.
That's why most of the cars outside are hoopties. Yeah. Thank you so much for watching. Like my ripoff Escalade. It's wonderful.
Am I in trouble still for the Doug thing?
No.
Okay.
No.
I'm gonna be.
Melania.
Jake, do you think I look like Melania?
I was going to say the blonde girl from The Mask.
Cameron Diaz?
Oh, Jake's my new best friend. I love Jake.
Cameron Diaz.
I love you. Mwah, 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 mwah. Jake's my new best friend.
Well, do the eye thing with Melania. Didn't you audition to be Melania once?
No, they did a direct casting and they asked me for Empire.
Like do the thing where see that. See? There it is.
And then her lips are a little ducky.
Told you. Yeah, so I'm trying to do the Jeff Goldblum thing.
No, you're gonna do the Doug thing.
Oh, this is your mama, and your mama's still fat.